So, ESPN just cleaned house. Ryan Clark was pulled off of NFL Live mid-segment during a commercial break. Your boy Cam Newton got cut loose only after 2 seasons on First Take. The reason? They're saying it's about cutting costs. But if you look closer, I actually believe it's not about cutting budgets. Maybe it's something deeper. Let's get to it. According to this article, what they're implying is it was about cutting costs. Now, I do think there are about 3 or 4 other individuals who got cut loose. But I think if we're talking about from a business perspective, Ryan Clark, Cam Newton definitely bring you a lot of eyes. Almost synonymous to Stephen A. Smith.
Why you say that?
What I would argue is when it comes to culture, right, especially black culture, both of these people have a great propensity of drawing attention, especially Cam Newton. If it's something, that's extremely exciting, something that's controversial, both of these guys are going to give a different take. Ryan Clark's going to give you more of an educated, more thorough analysis. Cam may give you a little overzealous type of feedback, right? But they say it was about cutting costs. But from a business perspective, my thought process would be you would keep your cash cows. And I don't know the exact numbers, but I would believe that both of these boys would be cash cows. Now, query, right? So if it's not about cutting costs,
then what's it about?
All right, well, tell me 2 things that Cam and Ryan got in common.
They black and they men.
Good. That's definitely got that in common. But what I actually think they got in common is both of these guys are not afraid to speak their mind. So I think as a people, what we forget sometimes is that anytime you're inside of an infrastructure that you don't own, you have to be willing to move in a certain manner that aligns with the company's goals, right? Or with the company's overall mission. Now, I will ask you again, world, I'm gonna ask you guys, do you guys think that Ryan Clark and Cam Newton may be a little bit too outspoken? So when I went to Alabama State University, I was fortunate enough to learn from a professor by the name of Robert Smith. And what this professor taught me was, he said, Grimes, you have to learn to infiltrate, educate, vacate. I'm gonna repeat that. Infiltrate, educate, vacate. So if you think about, I hate to use this colloquialism, but you think about slavery, right? The first thing they did was infiltrate. They found the way to get amongst us, right? And once they was among us, right, then they were able to educate, right? They learned our ways, learned how we were moving, right? Then they left, they vacated. But when they vacated, they came back and decimated, killed our people, took everything, right?
Yeah.
However, you can learn something from them, unfortunately, right? You can a lot of times learn something from the enemy. When it comes to Ryan Clark and Cam Newton, they both have did something very successful. They infiltrated. They infiltrated an industry that most people don't have the privilege to get in, right? They were able to get inside one of the most renowned and one of the most probably prestigious networks, right? So these people infiltrated. They got inside a real thorough, well-guarded system. Okay, let's keep going. Then they were able to successfully educate themselves, right? These guys were able to get into a $1 billion company, understand how the actual shows work, understand how the contract works, understand how the whole ecosystem works, right? Now you get to the last part. These guys, unfortunately, weren't able to vacate. These guys were what we would call forced out. But if you look at it in another light, I would say these guys were able to successfully vacate. So when you vacate, I don't think you necessarily have to look at it in a negative way. Maybe this is your opportunity to go and build your own thing based off the information that you learned from the system. So my boy Ryan Clark, he already has his own system, which is called what? The pivot, right?
Right.
I think he owns that. Maybe you take that and you try to position yourself to license this. You go back and add tremendous value, take some things you learned, and keep doing what you're doing in the pivot, but take those valuable lessons and go all the way in on the pivot. Cam Newton, I think the Cam Newton has Funky Fridays. He also has it fourth and one. Right? Now, I get it. They probably weren't cutting the same check. Probably don't come with the same prestige. But if you could take some of them same lessons, let's look at my boy. What's his name? Shannon Sharp, right? I think Shannon Sharp wrote the playbook. Man, this man was on ESPN. I love Shannon Sharp because in a lot of ways, he reminds me of me. He was able to be authentic. You see him on there with a skull cap. You seen this man with crown and the black and mild. Yeah. People love that. But unfortunately, he had to leave. That allowed this man to create his own show. And what did he do with his own show? End up making the most amount of money that he ever made because he was forced out. So what is the overall lesson that I want you guys to take away from this? Let's get into it. Number one, ownership is the real job security. I need you guys to understand that. If you guys are not cutting the check, you guys have to understand that a job title or a position literally can be taken via commercial break, unfortunately. Infiltrate, educate, vacate. It's not like this loyalty type of thing that some people want you to believe. You guys basically have to understand you need to learn the business, educate yourself in a manner that allows you to leave there and go create your own ecosystem. Other thing I want you guys to do is don't let one air moment define you. So depending on how Ryan and Cam takes this, it can either make it a catastrophic moment for the career and these guys can kind of go sit down and we don't hear about them anymore. They go into, obscurity. Or these guys can take that as one to the chin, take these resources, take the valuable education these guys had, the valuable lessons, and they put it back into their own resources. In 2 or 3 years, ESPN is going to be forced to come back and play ball. Lastly, what I want to talk about is I need you guys to understand that when it comes to speaking your truth, consequences come with that. And I think you guys have to understand that unless you cut the check, unless you are the one controlling the environment, there's always a possibility that at any moment someone could come pull your card because what you say or what you do doesn't align with their mission or their status quo. Which is why it's nothing wrong with working a job. It's nothing wrong with working within the ecosystem. But I need you guys to always remember the name of the game is infiltrate, educate, vacate. Hey, until next time, that was Culture and Capital, business news built for the culture. I'm your host, Rashad Grimes. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.